They'll reinforce the fact in those young minds that, see, we told you how bad is Hinduism. I mean, including all the festivals and all these things, Ram Navami, or these are so uncool things. Who was Ram? Who used to go around bare chested like this? This is not civil. I mean, you don't go around. I mean, they were very native kind of people. The West is so progressive, and Hindus, the concept of Hindus, look at the sages. I mean, they are all sort of bare chested guys going around and all that. Look at Kumbh Mela, these people who are like nude, they are taking bath. This is so uncivil. And so gradually, these students will actually start believing that Hinduism is very uncool and uncouth, so to say. And other things are so good, like uh, Muslims pray and they hug each other after the Eid prayers, and they share and eat this firni or shirmal, whatever, all those things. And they'll say that Hindu festivals slaughter any animals, but they'll never say anything about the Bakrid and all those things. So this keeps growing, and eventually the idea is so that the youth one day should revolt against their own system. The today's subject is this. The title is Uprooting Hindu Youth. So it is how, and it is a fact which has been happening silently over decades, and it is a planned thing. It is not just by accident or with the passage of time. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. It's quite a planned thing, and as we had discussed a few days back, it started informally with during Nehru's time, when he himself had a socialist bent of mind, and sort of he didn't dissuade any communist party or communist thinking sort of come into governance or the current affairs of the India as a state as a whole. But it became formalized or more cemented during Indira Gandhi's rule, when Indira Gandhi came to power after Shastriji passed away. So that time the deal was cut very strongly when Indira Gandhi said, Ki, I want your support in various areas when government takes any important decisions, government takes and all that. So the communists said at that time, yeah. During Nehru's time, there was only Communist Party of India, which is CPI. And by the time Indira Gandhi took over, they had another faction, which is CPIM. And later, another French faction happened, which is still there, which is CPIML, which is the Naxal, the Leninist wing. So anyway, the communists said, fine, we will support you, but we need two things in return. So Indira Gandhi said, what are they? So they said, we want control in the academics and we want control in the media. Because bureaucracy and all, Congress was tackling bureaucracy, judiciary, all those things. So Indira Gandhi said, okay, done deal. And from there on, like from the late 60s onwards, they had been doing it very religiously, though they say that religion is poison. But whatever they do very religiously. And if you have seen, what do the communists do? They always put a lot of stress and importance on education. They will have big budgets for education. They say ki roads are not so important. One can still commute over potholed roads, but education is very important. But what do they do in education? Because that is the area they know they can control things. So they control the young minds, even the child's mind, with their own kind of thinking. And what they do is they recruit those people who are politically bent towards their ideology. And in this country, they know the biggest problem, which is not a direct problem, but it's an indirect one, is the majority of this population, I'm talking in the context of India, that they are Hindus. So, and Hinduism is, we all know, it's a very old, thousands of year old religion. So their main idea is to gradually shift these people away from Hinduism so that they don't get attached to it. So I've been seeing communists actually. My paternal side is a heavily, I mean, they were heavily uh, communist, ideologically bent people. I mean, my father's generation, my father and his siblings, but gradually it has sort of watered down with new kind of people coming in. I mean, new generation coming in or all that. Those days it was not so drastic, but nowadays it has become, especially from the year 2000 onwards, things have become very, very drastic and very, very overt. Previously it was covert. I will give you an example. Nowadays, in children's book, maybe a child is in class 5. So a book will say that uh, Ankit is a dirty boy. He doesn't take bath. He doesn't cut his nails. Uh, he usually sleeps till late. He reaches school late and all that. And they'll say Michael is a very nice boy. He takes a bath regularly, early morning. He goes to church for prayers, but he's never late for school and all that. This is how they start sort of influencing the formative minds of children. And then they will start talking about our festival. They will start degrading our festivals. Then those same books will read that Diwali is a very dirty festival. It creates pollution, and people have breathing problems because of Diwali. Animals get scared and all that. And then they will say Christmas is a wonderful festival. It brings the message of Jesus, of peace and happiness, and Santa Claus brings all those things. So goodies, and again the message of love and peace and all that. This is how they start influencing the small minds. And as the child grows from school and all, and from say primary to medium school and to the senior level, class 11, 12, 10 to 11, 12, then they will start talking about, anyway, the history books they have written. So it is always easy for them to say it, where you have just 2 pages for Rana Pratap and like 2 chapters on Aurangzeb or Shah Jahan for that, or sorry, Akbar for that matter. So it helps them glorify them. And like, for example, Jawahar Nehru said about Mahmud of Ghazni that he destroyed, when he was asked that he destroyed Hindu temples, Somnath, so many times. So he said, no, he had no religious agenda. He was just a looter. He came here to loot money. So he was, at best, he can be said he was of a criminal bent of mind. So he came here, he looted the Somnath temple not out of any religious vengeance, but it was just accidental that a temple had was there, and he was only eyeing for the money, or the gold, or the rich jewels and all those things. So this is how all those things, and they would propagate that. They will tell the children that, look at this way, that he never came here to target any Hinduism or any religion. He just came to loot money, because there were so lot of money, and there also they will bring in some communist agenda. There was a lot of money which the rich businessmen had robbed the poor of, and they had stored that money which was not getting used for any benefit of people. So he came and took it away. So there's nothing wrong actually, because that money was like ill wealth, and uh, sort of taken away from the uh, people, and the people were, though that wealth actually belonged to people, they will never say that people had voluntarily donated that money. So this is how it starts. And by the time a student is ready to graduate from a school level to a college, they bringing the fact that actually Kashmir was never a part of India, so it naturally belongs to the Muslims and hence to Pakistan. So India should not contest about claiming Kashmir, and it should be the people of Kashmir should be given the choice to decide, and they have a right to not to stay in India. Whatever the protests that were happening, and whatever terrorist activities starts when it started, they said this is out of a revenge. This is a rebound reaction of the people of Kashmir. That's why they are doing it. And the if you have seen in media, people like Barkha Dutt saying that the Muslims of Kashmir were like really deprived of all jobs, uh, in bureaucracy, in media. No, sorry, not in media, in schools and colleges. So they were deprived, and they just revolted. And because the actually the Pandits of Kashmir were the tormentors, they were like the feudal lords and all that thing. So they always keep justifying that. But what is the purpose of doing that? Because they know that eh, our land, India, where we happen to be the majority, which is a big sort of thorn for them, that this particular country with the majority being Hindu, it is very difficult to sort of plant and grow something of anti-India sentiment. So that is the basic target they follow, and by that thing, they get a lot of support for any anti-India activities, and they are hand in glove with the Islamic lobby. Because why they have very natural sort of friendship with the Islamic lobby, because both of them have a similar kind of ideology. Both don't believe in any political borders of a country. Islam also says that ये तो Islam तो किसी मुल्क के दायरे में कभी कैद नहीं है. And communism also says that we are a philosophy, we are a ideology which goes beyond boundaries. If you remember uh, John Lennon's song, like imagine a world without fences, without borders, and all that. So it all stems from there. So they have a very natural shake hand kind of a situation with each other. And as they target the youth, they want to take them away from their own original identity, even if they may not be proud about it. So they will definitely start feeling bad about it. Oh my God, what kind of an identity I have? I'm a Hindu. I have done so much of wrong, and my festivals are all bad, and all that. And they are teaching it in properly, systematically, and officially in books, and they are propagating this in the media as well. And with social media happening, so they are also taking advantage of social media, and you can see what kind of messages are being spread during before every Hindu festival. So once these people can move a certain section of the society, and youth are the most important area to catch, because catching them young is the best thing. So because they know the youth can be galvanized and motivated to take part in any protest and all these things, because people who are working, who are obviously aged 30 and 30 plus or 40 plus, they cannot leave their work and come and join the protests. So this is how they gain. And if some datas have to be believed, like for the Shaheen Bagh, they get the help of these so many Hindu youth to go and support them. They actually believed that whatever the government was doing, bringing only the Hindus and Sikhs and Buddhists, and why have they left out Muslims from that? And that's why they joined. I mean, if 1 lakh people were there in Shaheen Bagh, I mean, 70% would have been Muslims, 30% were Hindus, which is approximately 50% of the Muslim population at Shaheen Bagh. So this is how they get this thing, the support. And they will never teach you that any Islamic festival is bad, or bad in the sense it has some bad effects in the society. They will never talk about the slaughter of millions of goats and cows during Bakrid. They will not talk about how these people sit wherever they want for their prayers and all that. But they will never say that the 5 o'clock azans in the morning are disturbing, even for the people who are sick. But they will say the tolling of bells in a mandir is very disturbing to people and all that. And they will say, I mean, we all know that how Diwali is bad and how Holi is bad, how mm, uh, pouring of milk on shivling during Shivratri is so bad, because so many people are hungry in this country and they are wasting milk. So they basically create a feeling of disgust uh, amongst the Hindu youth, that yes, our religious rituals or whatever customs, practices, traditions, they are also insensitive to humankind. And whereas they'll say, even if they talk about Bakrid, they will say the Bakrid is a festival of sacrifice. And also because one third of whatever you cook with the goat meat, one third is given for charity. See, this is such a noble thing, that they are giving charity for people, for the poor, and all those things. No Hindu festival does that. They will never talk about that all these temples feed so many, I mean, millions of poor every day. Golden Temple, Amritsar, feeds probably in a year, is probably that same kind of people, amount of people are probably fed in a day by Tirupati board temple. And there are so many other, these things are done more in the south. And this is how this goes on. And if they can create that environment of dissent amongst the youth, that whatever this country is doing, it is really bad, they will also glorify, they will make, since media is also in their clutches, they'll encourage, make movies and encourage movies which glorify the Naxals, which glorify the Naxal movement. And they will say ki they are fighting for their rights, so you have to, sometimes you may have to kill for your rights. They will always discourage any progress uh, at a business level or an industrial level. They'll always discourage a country getting more weapons to defend itself, because they'll say again that same thing. So many people are sick, they need hospitals. So many people are poor, say they need food. So as I was telling, even defense budget and in increment in defense budget, they won't like them. Uh, Increment in say building roads and infrastructures is also an eyesore for them. And how do they propagate this? As I briefly mentioned, they recruit people who believe in this, and their uh, propaganda or their messaging is so scientific. I mean, for example, I know about Bengal. What Jyoti Basu used to say in, say, the headquarters of Bengal government or at a rally, it will percolate down to even the rickshawala on the street. He will say the same thing. What used to happen is, it's not that every nowadays people have access to smartphones and TVs and all that. In those days, in the 60s or 70s, they, even if when they had not come to power, what they would do is worker, which we generally, the cadre basically, which we say in context of BJP as a karyakarta. So he will go down to schools and influence those teachers beyond school hours and tell him what to do. Those kind of things. They will go. They would go to tea shops and tell all those laborers who came to drink tea after a hard day's work. They'll go and tell them, "Ki this is what is happening. this is what the government is doing. They used to do it against the Congress government also, because at that time the Congress was the only party in power. Nobody else was there in power. So they used to do that same thing. This I know for sure because, as I said, my family was a hardcore communist family, my paternal side. And I used to hear from them because when I was a child, I don't remember, but I very like a blur. I remember a lot of communist leaders used to come at our place after 11, after dinner time, and they used to have some hush hush meetings. And they used to sort of take me in their laps and feed me biscuits and all those things. So obviously, I don't know, didn't know who they were and what they were talking. But when I grew up, I asked my father and uncles, and they said yes, those things used to happen. And this is how they propagate. And you will see the same thing happening in, say, Delhi in case of AAP, because Aam Aadmi Party is also a sort of quasi communist party. They will recruit the teachers and send them on foreign tours and tell them this, we are doing this for you because we appreciate that you believe in our ideology, and you will do as you are asked to do by us. And if anyone, even in Bengal in those days, if anybody sort of had any differences of opinion on that, they would dhire dhire coolly shun them out of the system. And here also the same thing is happening. If anybody sort of has a difference with Arvind Kejriwal's education policy, so that person will be slowly and steadily shunted out of the system. So only their cadres, their mindset, holding people will can only survive, and not only survive, they can also prosper that way. And then they, after the school thing happens, then they, I mean, for them, once you have sort of sown the seed in the minds, when the people, when those students were in, say, class 11th or 12th, capturing them and converting them in colleges is very simple. I mean, it's happening in every university, even BHU. We saw 3 4 years back when the prime minister was to visit there for something. There was a huge protest, and Aam Aadmi Party was very active in that, though they are directly not communists. And I mean, in JNU, and then in Jadavpur University, in Calcutta, Osmania, in Hyderabad, and even in Bombay, these things they are doing. And as they will keep alienating the Hindu youth from their own roots. So once you, I mean, any plant we all know, if you can sort of move them and shake their roots, they can never grow. So first they stop the growth of those, if at all there was any chance. And how is the problem compounded? It got compounded over the years because especially after the liberalization happened, people got really busy earning money, and they didn't actually care what their children were learning. They were put in a good school with high fees and all that. So they'll definitely, I'm sure they are learning good stuff and all that. So they don't get, never got to sort of understand what was happening behind the scenes, in the sense, in those classrooms and in the textbooks, how those things happened. And the mathematics questions are formed by the communists in such way, like when they talk about the simple interest and compound interest. So their questions are that so and so Abdul took a loan from a moneylender Mahajan, 1,000 rupee loan. Now the rate of interest is this, and Abdul earns only this much. So calculate and say how many years it will take for the Mahajan to get Abdul completely bankrupt, and eventually what do you call, जो जब्त करना बोलते हैं उसकी property को, I mean they will take over the land from him, because at there will a time will come when his income will not even suffice the interest, जो इंटरेस्ट वो कंपाउंड होके बढ़ता रहता है. सो व्हाट डज ही डू? तो देन ऑब्वियसली द महाजन विल से कि अब तू जमीन बेच दे, बस अब और कोई चारा नहीं है, तो तू चुका नहीं सकता. So that is how they teach the simple and compound interest with an agenda. It can be taught in many. I mean, we didn't learn in those ways, I'm sure. I mean, during our school days in arithmetic and mathematics classes, but this was introduced by the Communist Party in West Bengal when they came to power, and later when they came to power in Kerala, they repeated the same thing. But this festival things are more, they're more of a later phenomenon, which, as I told you, started from 2000 onwards, and rest of the things were going on. I mean, this there are a few examples which I just remembered, because someone had told me that this is the kind of things which are being taught in mathematics, and this is how they are being taught. The problem is this is how they are being taught, and they will always tell these students, see, your father is rich. Yeah, he's fine. I mean, his father is rich, but try and understand that your father is rich because so many other people are poor. That's why your father is rich. So he will not only get ill feeling towards his community, is also towards his father. And I know clearly, because uh, many of my relatives used to tell me that businessmen are really bad because they are dishonest. So I used to ask them why they are dishonest, because they used to say that they sell at a price which is higher than their cost price. So if they had sold any good or service at the same price which it had cost them, then it is fine. Then you are serving the society. Moment you take a rupee extra, it means you are being dishonest and you are robbing them. And this is how you are accumulating wealth. And this kind of accumulating wealth is the reason why so many people are poor. I mean, some people can have a lot of good पकवान जो हैं अच्छे अच्छे खा सकते हैं घर में, and some people go hungry. So they always create a sense of what do you call, a pity towards this thing, and resultantly hate or a dislike towards the other this thing. This is how they drove out the entire industrial the community in Bengal, which used to be, even after partition for about 1.5 decades to 2 decades, it was quite good. It was one of the bustling sort of economy, one of the bustling economies in these countries. But they gradually said these economists were bad, and this is how they say that the unions have more right on a factory or its products, the labor unions and the labor class, because they are actually producing it. The farmer has more right on the agricultural produce because they are growing it. They will never say that whatever they are growing, if people are not buying it, how can they get this thing? They'll never. That's their strategy. They'll say one side of the story, and that story ends there. So, and I can't say it so well. They say it so well that a student believes, like believing that actually India should have no right on Kashmir, to that a person who buys this thing, an agricultural produce or an industrial product, uh, is really bad because he's doing it at their expense, and they don't complete this story. So this is how it goes. And what we can do is, we should keep a watch, we should keep a tab on actually what they're teaching. I'll tell you, I frankly, I must admit, I looked at my son's textbooks when he had a problem, maybe when his exams were there. He used to tell me कि ये chapter है, मेरे को थोड़ा help कर दो. So that time I used to see, okay, whichever subject it was. So because I have also grown up reading that Maharana Pratap was just there, one of the guys from Rajasthan who fought the Mughals and all that. But Akbar the Great were great rulers and all those things. Yeah, Shivaji was also there. He was some small Maratha king, and they will term it as a feudal lord and all those things. Since I had also grown up reading those same NCERT books, history books written by Romila Thapan and Irfan Habib. So I never found anything wrong in that. I didn't find anything like to catch my attention. So I never noticed. So I mean, I don't blame my, though not my children are not that influenced. The younger one is still little more influenced than the elder one. But this is what average parents do. They are busy because after the liberalization happened, everybody is busy doing a corporate job. Corporate jobs got a huge boost after that, so they want to buy new flats, new big cars, and even if they have cars, they have to upgrade to a bigger car uh, soon. So they never keep a tab what's happening in the schools. I'm not saying, and another reason is which I would say that it maybe doesn't need to happen very overtly, but the absence of, since we became nuclear families, we started living in apartments, and the children grew up without the presence of grandparents. So the grandparents play a different role, because I remember when I was a child, till about 2 3 years, 4 years maybe, till my uh, grandfather was present, he used to do puja and all that. So he used to take me to the garden in the backyard, and with him I used to pick flowers for his puja, and I used to sit quietly. Obviously I won't understand what kind of puja he was doing, or why I was doing, but these kind of regular practice brings in an environment of familiarity with your roots, your origins, which these guys always will tell that these are superstitions, these are useless things, like uh, for example, worshipping a tulsi tree or pouring water on a tulsi tree has no use. They will never say that tulsi has so much of medicinal values, but they will rather encourage you to wear a red cap and merrily dance around a plastic tree with Chinese bulbs during Christmas. So one of the things is that the absence of grandparents, because grandparents used to, I mean, people started earning more, so they could afford keeping their parents at a separate place and have their own families, maybe in a Gurgaon or a Delhi or a Mumbai, Bangalore, whatever. So that was one. That sort of helped the communists indirectly. This kind of a social system, or the lifestyle, I would say, this helped the communists in a big way. It made their job little more easy as it was before. And then because of this, I mean, we didn't grow up, because I also grew up in a more or less a nuclear environment. So I also didn't feel important to have a relationship with my origins or my roots, and pass that on, or sort of forget influencing. Even I didn't practice, because my son, I never saw my father sitting after taking a bath in front of a puja, whatever, even if it is lighting a diya or just putting a flower at the feet of a whichever god or goddess it is. I didn't see it. I also didn't do it, and resultantly, my children also never saw it happening. So this is how, I mean, if you can influence, if the student don't get, because they are in their formative years, whatever they'll see or do, it has a bearing in their lives in the future, and that's where they score, because if they can control the children, they are controlling the future. Because if more protests like farmers protest or Shaheen Bagh, all those things will happen, these students will go there and stand with those who are protesting against this. One of my neighbors, he was shocked when he learnt his daughter, who was in college, I think she was in second year or third year at that time, 2020, uh, that time, and he was almost crying to us. Yeah, I never imagined my daughter would go there and stand with those against our own country, against our own community. So that they say that this communistic community is far more intelligent, and it is accepted worldwide. They'll talk about the countries like Cuba, they will talk about countries like Venezuela, North Korea, China, of course. And previously they used to talk about East Europe, but East Europe failed, and Russia also failed. And but they will never say that these countries are not democracies, because communists believe that democracy is needed to propagate their theories. But moment they are in power, they will crush all forms of democracy. We can see that in Bengal, we can see that in Kerala very easily in our own country. And this is how they sort of keep taking these our Indian youth away from whatever is Hindu, because most of these children start feeling that it's very uncool to be a Hindu. It's very cool to be secular, uh, which is very Western, because the word is such, and it came from the Europe, when it was meant to dissociate the church from the government. But they, which has no connection here. We don't have a church, and our no religious bodies sort of influence our governments. But they still feel it is very cool, it's hip, it's youthful. I mean, Christmas is so bright and colorful, and they talk in English and all that. And the money coming from the Middle East also helps them. They will never directly say the Islam is great. They will keep telling you that Hinduism is so bad, they torture the Muslims and all that. And these some stray incidents like Pailu Khan and some this Tabriz in Jharkhand, then they'll highlight, or that Asifa in Jammu, they will highlight, and they'll reinforce the fact in those young minds that, see, we told you how bad is Hinduism. I mean, including all the festivals and all these things, Ram Navami, or these are so uncool things. Who was Ram? Who is to go around bare chested like this? This is not civil. I mean, you don't go around. I mean, they were very native kind of people. The West is so progressive, and Hindus, the concept of Hindus, look at the sages. I mean, they are all sort of bare chested guys going around and all that. Look at Kumbh Mela, these people who are like nude, they are taking bath. This is so uncivil. And so gradually, these students will actually start believing that Hinduism is very uncool and uncouth, so to say. And other things are so good, like uh, Muslims pray and they hug each other after the Eid prayers, and they share and eat this firni or shirmal, whatever, all those things. And they'll say that Hindu festivals slaughter any animals, but they'll never say anything about the Bakrid and all those things. So this keeps growing, and eventually the idea is so that the youth one day should revolt against their own system, because their agenda is linked with China and the communists, say in USA, because Europe has gone down. Was at one point of time, Europe had a sizable communist sort of governments in East Europe, but gradually one after another they fell. So now it is only USA. So USA also doesn't want India should grow beyond a point. India should have defense power beyond a point, or industrialization beyond a point. But nowadays, what has happened after 2014 is that there has been an attempt. It's not by the government, and it is by the social activists, Hindu social activists, uh, who are trying to do that. And they also don't want the concept of nationalism or patriotism, because, as I said, communism doesn't believe in a nationhood. Communism believes in an ideology, and that ideology is the most important. If any nation is following that, that is incidental. They basically want, exactly like Islam, that entire world should become should subscribe to their ideology, whether it's Islam or whether it's communism, so that there is no other way of people thinking that they should work for the country, or they should work for the society any other which way. Because Nobody actually challenges them that you talk about the poor, the hungry. Have we ever seen any communist organization sort of doing a free food camp? They never do that. I mean, have we ever seen that happening in Bengal in 34 years? No. Are we seeing anything since communism came to Kerala? No. They'll never do that. But they will continuously keep saying that, oh, these temples have so much of wealth, ill-gotten wealth. These Ambanis and the Adanis and these people builders have so much of wealth, robbing the poor. Uh, as I talk to some young people who are still in college, they say, "Don't you think that Ambani is rich because he has robbed so many people?" I said, "When did Ambani rob anyone? Ambani didn't put a gun to their head and say, 'You have to work at this salary, which is far lesser. I know your salary is worth more, but I won't give, and you will have to work.'" They can always refuse and do something else. Communists also are very much against entrepreneurial mindset. They don't encourage entrepreneurship. They will, because they feel an entrepreneur, when he grows, he also becomes what do you call, a bourgeois, the typical rich, and the evil, which will rob people, and he'll do his business. So they will keep telling you that everybody should get a whole wholesome deal in life, because and they feel that the person who is running the industry and his workers should get equal amount from the sale, or whatever the products or services they are selling. So this is how they are taking away our children. And our children, like, say, when you give them a prasad, they will say ki, well, I am taking it as a sweet, and don't tell me it's a prasad. I can't. If you tell me it's a prasad, I won't have it. So if you ask them, "So what's wrong," even if it is a prasad, so they'll say, "No, this is all like completely bigoted thinking and all that. There should not be. Why are you bringing a religion into a sweet, into a, say, a laddu or bundis?" So this is their logic. This is how they influence these people. They tell them, ask your parents that why are they getting religion in a simple sweet. A sweet, keep the religion out of all these things. So that the result is that they challenge their parents. Why are we doing this? Why they will, a girl will, now the latest is the opposing the Kanyadan concept. A girl will take all the money from her father for the wedding expenses. They would want their father to do a grand wedding of their this thing, but she would refuse to say, "Kanya Dan, I am not an object to give dan." But if the father is spending for her lehenga or her honeymoon or all her dresses and everything, that's fine. That's the duty of a father. But when it's coming to Kanyadan, which is not about objectifying a daughter, and it's there in Christian marriage systems as well, which is considered to be the biggest gift uh, which a father does, is handing over the daughter to the groom. So what they are doing is they are gradually destroying all our beliefs. They are challenging all our beliefs. They are mocking all our tradition and practices. As someone had said very recently in social media, that insulting Islam is blasphemy, insulting Sikhism is sacrilege, and mocking Hinduism is comedy. This is what, and who are the audience of these Munawar Faruqis and all? They are all Hindus. They are all our nephews and nieces or sons and daughters who are going there, and they are clapping and they are going, "Ooh, wow," listening to their gods and goddesses being mocked. I mean, what an asshole was Ramchandra, that he left just by his father's word, or whatever. One of his stepmothers said that he should go, or to follow that he left. I mean, this is all foolish and all that. Why did Krishna was? They'll say Gita is all bad because it says that ma karmanye vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadechana is a exploitative concept. It is for the big industrialists, or they say the money lenders, or basically the rich, to rob the people, that you should keep working without expecting anything, whereas it has nothing to do with that. They will never, they will neither, they, I mean, they are not fools, they understand what the actual meaning is, but they'll never say that. Because I know in Bengal this was told to people, that Gita is such a horrible sort of concept. It's a bundle of so many lies and ill gotten thoughts, that it only demoralizes people. It only uh, sort of makes them poor and harms them. This is how it goes. Until and unless we people start involving them and engaging them into our Hindu practices. I'm not saying that one has to whole day one has to chant mantras, or every child has to be taught Sanskrit. But actually, but yes, we should be telling them that see the origin of Sanskrit. So many words, even a simple word like aap, which is a Urdu word. This has also come from Sanskrit, which is in Sanskrit we call it apni. We Bengali call it apni, and from there it has come. In North India, it happened to be up. Like from aham, it has come that people say hum, and then it got sort of tweaked to may and all those things. So these things should be taught. We don't teach them. Very few parents would be teaching them. I'm not saying involve them in rituals and all that. Yes, but we can always tell them that today is Janmashtami, so today we will worship the birth of Lord Krishna, and we will worship the little Krishna and all that. And we should tell about them. We should talk to them about Ramayana, Mahabharata. Yes, we all read even in our childhood. We heard it from our grandparents, those who had the company of our grandparents, and we also read comics and all those things. So they tried and they closed down this publication which used to come out with Amar Chitrakatha. I think they have been bought over by some foreign these things. It is basically to buy out and close the entire thing, because Amar Chitrakatha still kept some Hindu traditions alive, and some Hindu history, where we came from, the roots. Nobody knows, because you will find they have influenced Bollywood also, where they, because films are a entertainment, are a huge instrument to influence people. You will find these Saif Ali Khans talking that there was no India before 1947. I don't know why the British called it East India Company and not any other word for India. But they will say, no, 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 but there was no concept of India. It was all so many 550 princely states and all that. So only because after the partition, India happened, because they were only princely states. They'll say, yes, there was no Pakistan. So Pakistan happened, so happened India. So this is how the things are going. And if we don't actually realize and acknowledge the problem, first we'll have to acknowledge and accept the problem, that yes, this is happening. And then we'll have to think of how to sort of mend ways, so that we can keep a check on them. Otherwise, they will completely take them away from us. It's like taking away your son, an outsider taking away our son or daughter uh, into their family, and making them go against our own family, their own family. So this is happening, and this is real, and I can see it in my neighborhood. I'm sure most of the people who are watching this and listening to this, they will also find similar examples. If these things are not checked at the parental level, it will be very difficult. And yes, since the grandparents are not there, the parents have to take up this extra responsibility of keeping that thing alive. Because it's not we I'm not saying we should teach them that Muslims are bad, Hindus are great, and all those things. No, nothing necessary of that thing. Secularism is fine, but with secularism, we should teach that how is secularism still alive, and how Hindus have kept the concept of secularism alive. Not to say that because they feel that only uh, Muslims are keeping this concept of secularism alive, because anything happens, they will come out on the street. So that is, and another weakness is we never go out on the streets to protest. Only they go. So these are the things if we should start doing, and more we do, we can start at a small level. We can start when they are pretty young. At least if they see uh, the parents doing some little bit of puja, not even a very ritualistic puja, simply by offering some flower or putting a garland around the shivling, or even a photograph of a god or goddess, lighting a diya, and maybe just uh, twinkling a ghanti. Even these small things, they remain as a residue in their minds, and then it becomes that wee bit difficult for these communists to take it away. And obviously, talking about our heritage, our history, our temples, we should tell them that the invaders came and destroyed our temples. The invaders came, what all we have done, because the I mean, we are like above 50, a lot of us, people who are my age, people who are in their 30s, they should at least teach about the right kind of history. They know it, but since there is a peer pressure, because it's hip and cool to be secular and sort of dislike a Janmashtami or a Holi or whatever, Tulsi Pujan, and consider eating biryani for this thing is damn good, and Christmas is damn good. They should, unless they start teaching, I don't see a very rather I see a very bleak future for our children, because these things are making it easy and easier for these communities to take them away in their fold.
Towards the end, when you mentioned that there was no India before 1947, I heard a talk by Sanjeev Sanyal. He
Hmm.
says that if there was an India before 1947, then how would we have a father of the nation? And if there
Yes,
was not a father of the nation, how would we have a chacha of the nation?
yes,
So
correct.
it is not just the communists and the Christian Islamic lobby, but also the Congress in cahoots with the entire thing, with the communists. And
Hmm.
like you mentioned, there was a pact between
Yes,
Congress and the communists that you stay away from the mainstream politics. Will keep you and we'll give you the plum jobs.
yeah, yeah. The
Yeah, yeah.
communists clearly said we don't want any government positions. We don't want to participate in governments. We won't sort of create roadblocks for you, but you should not also interfere in academics and media. So these two things they have controlled very well, because these two things are very needed. Communists thrive on propaganda, and these things are very, very critical to build a propaganda and to sustain it and to be successful. And they have done it very successfully. Like problem is, even my generation, for a long time, till about I was 40, I didn't know that. I knew that yes, our land is Bharat. It was Bharat, and because of what I knew, how it came to be known as Bharat. But before that, it was called the Jammu Deep Khand. These things are never told. How the name Hindustan came, how the word Hindus came. I mean, we didn't invent these words. We didn't call ourselves Hindus. The Western world, the outside world did it. And how it happened, why it is called Hindu Kush. Some students might know, yes, 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 there are particular some mountains which are called the Hindu Kush mountains. But why they are called Hindu Kush mountains, not told. So whatever kind of education they are getting in schools and colleges, we need to counter it ourselves. What we have learned from our parents. I mean, thankfully, didn't hear these kind of nonsensical things from our parents. They taught the right thing. Yes, there was a Bharat, because Dushyant and what do you call, Shakuntala's son was Bharat, and from there it became the country's name became Bharat and all those things. But even this Jambu Deep and all that, which is there, uh, we never made an attempt, or even there was no urge to get to the roots. So all those things need to be started and done slowly, because they have also done it very slowly and steadily. We'll have to do it also very slowly and steadily. Nothing will happen overnight.
Namaste, sir.
Namaste,
Sir,
namaste.
sir, I have few observations. I have seen some of my friends who are very much ritualistic. They
Okay.
even write Jai Sri Ram in Ram Navami. But
Hmm.
at the time of coming to political party, they support CPI and they say that this is communism. So I don't know why when I ask them, they say just see this capitalist exploit the poor, and
Hmm.
so we support this. The typical that answer. So how to change that sort of mindset? Means they are not atheist. They are means ritualistic, very much ritualist. They even do Durga Puja and all sorts of things.
See, they definitely do Durga Puja, as the people
Mm.
of Bengal even today say that Durga Puja has nothing to do with religion. Durga Puja is a festival. It's a social festival where people wear nice new clothes, they go and eat, they greet each other and all that, and have a good time. Nothing to do with, because they very cleverly take them, or don't mention the fact that the core of this celebration is the puja of Durga. And even there, they say that Durga was a slut who sort of seduced Mahishasur Mardini, who was a Dalit, and killed him after 7 days by deceit. And don't go by the Jai Shri Ram and all those things. That's not any ritual. That's maybe, I don't know. If somebody is writing Jai Shri Ram and still a communist, I mean, that's a very strange combination. But as you said, because they are fed from childhood that the rich are only rich because of poor, and they have been exploited, because factory ka malik is always an evil character who is exploiting the labor class continuously, and that's how their blood, sweat and tears make him rich. And they also teach him, if, see, you are poor because you are not able to earn your the rightful money you deserve, and he's taking away and putting it in his bank. So you should revolt and kill that man, because if you don't get your rights, you have every right to sort of take up arms, or go take up any unlawful means. That's how they say that जो इंसाफ होगा सड़कों पे, सिर्फ because nowadays their this thing is होगा इंसाफ होगा सड़कों पे, अदालत और पार्लियामेंट से कोई इंसाफ नहीं हो सकता. अगर इंसाफ चाहिए तो सड़क पे उतर के सड़क पे करना पड़ेगा.
Rudraji, nice talk. Before I ask my question, I wish to draw your attention about few facts. There
Sure.
was a talk by Mr. Agneveer in the Sangam talks yesterday.
Hmm.
This gentleman is a IIT graduate. He is doing a good work in Dang area of Gujarat, bringing to attention of the people about Christian missionaries and good point about Hindu religion. The talk about Quran petition was also arranged yesterday. That was in Calcutta High Court long back. And
Okay.
what was the bad points about Quran which was brought in that writ petition? Indians abroad goes with regularity to temples when say they are in US, Canada, and other countries, and I have seen myself. Sikhs religiously go to Gurdwaras. Good work being done by Sri Rahul Devan in propagating Indian civilization. Now, my suggestion is that we must celebrate our festivals more on community level, like Ram Navami, than
Yes.
in the house itself. Uh,
Yes, yes,
and
definitely.
tell our youth briefly, in simple terms, means a page or a 5 minutes, 10 minutes of video about good points about ourselves and how our religion civilization is better than others. To do it better, we have to make our temples grand and so that people are attracted to go there. Now, my question to you is, what will be your suggestions on these points?
I think the kind of people you just talked about who are doing this kind of work, it's definitely commendable and truly appreciable. They should keep, the more people do this, it will be better. The problem is that there are hardly any people who would want to do this, because most of these people who are like very well educated, or even if they are academically sort of they're working as teachers and all that, their minds are already poisoned. And people who are not in academics, who are working in, say, corporate world or even the government jobs, they don't get time or they don't have the interest. The problem is they have, we as a community, the Sanatan Hindu community, have lost that urge to talk about our religion. We end up mocking, Are Shivji ne ye kiya, ye wo, so we just crack a joke, a harmless jokes. But we never sort of, it starts with maybe right now we are in the we are the parental generation, so it starts with us. We should start doing it, as you rightly said, celebrating Ram Navami at a community level, and going to temples has reduced drastically. And I'll tell you how the Christian this church going became very attractive. It is not so very attractive now in the West, but in India it is still very attractive, because in churches, if you have seen some films also, it is there. Young people get to know their counterparts, so it becomes a sort of social sanction to mingle. The young boys seeing young girls seeing young boys, and all that. That's how it starts. In our temples also it used to happen, but gradually they have, I mean, people have felt that a temple, what will it give me? Nothing. But yes, uh, I also see a sizable number of young boys and girls going to temples, and maybe, if not praying seriously, at least bending before the god or goddess. And the kind of people you mentioned, they should encourage this phenomenon more and more, like that. And we should also talk about our glorious past, because a lot of, I was reading in social media, a lot of these Western historians have said that the uh, Hindu history is highly underrated, and it has been done deliberately. So first we'll have to undo the damage they have done, and then gradually build it on and go forward. This is my opinion. And hats off to those guys who have picked up the cudgels, and they are already working on this.
I just wanted to ask Ratandeep ji that we all know that communism flourished under Congress. So what happened post 2014? Like I know after the BJP took over, there has been they have provided a certain kind of environment for the Indic thoughts to flourish. But
Yes.
that doesn't mean that the communists hold over institutions like media or say educational institutions. It hasn't decreased to a significant extent, and I don't expect it to be happening in such a short span. But do you think there has been some impact, or what else shall be done from that end, or the government's end to support this?
I ideally, if you ask me, I don't know. I won't be judgmental, but I don't know, the counter to this communistic agenda is a right wing agenda. That may happen, that may not happen, but at some places it is happening. It's not that it hasn't happened. It has started, but the progress is very slow. Even if we don't have a right wing agenda, even if we have a neutral sort of perspective towards this, even then that is fine. But problem is communists don't believe in any neutrality. It's their way or the highway. Very simple. So as you said, yes, 7 years is too, 7 or 8 years is too less a time to sort of completely change this. It will take time if this kind of a government who sort of supports the Indic philosophy and Indic thinking, they remain in power, it will happen. Because as time will pass, I'm sure it will happen. Like, for example, who could have imagined that this Kashi uh, corridor which has happened, or the establishing the statue of Adi Shankaracharya at Kedarnath, and the Ram Mandir judgment and all that, all those things happened. Nobody, I mean, if this government was not there, this would not have happened. And because of this, people have, some people at least, I don't know the exact numbers, the data, but some people have started feeling proud that yes, our history was great, we were great people, we can still become great people. And also one thing is adding to that fact, that even internationally, nothing religious, internationally we are doing well. The number of startups, now we have crossed UK, and I think we are at the third position now in the kind of startups which are happening. Even in terms of economy, we have crossed France, and we are the fourth largest economy like this. So I mean, 5 years back I never thought this could happen, but this has happened, and I hope this continues. And if the parents can keep hammering this feeling in children that we belong to a great heritage, our identity is some nothing to be sort of ashamed of, because they, what their agenda is that you should start feeling ashamed of your history and heritage. Oh, we do such superstitious rituals and all that, we touch the feet of the elders. I mean there could be dirt at their feet and you are touching it, and you are putting it on your, and you are again touching it to your forehead. So these are so, ye dakyaanu si baatein hain, native culture and all that. So they not only move the Hindus. Look at the tribals. The tribals, they may not be Hindus, because tribals are neither Muslims or Hindus or Christians. Because then they allow, they have their allies. One, on one hand, they have the Islamic lobby, and on the other hand, they have the Christian lobby. Then they unleash the Islamic lobby, the Christian lobby, to go and tap those tribal belts and convert them into uh, Christianity. So they also lose their roots. Their entire funda is uproot those people who are traditionally rooted in some belief and some identity, and convert them to our belief. That is how they don't do it alone, because even if they succeed in sort of converting people to Islam or Christianity, they are, at the end of the day, they are removing people from Hinduism.
So I have 2 or 3 things to say. One is among them is question, and 2 other are statements. So the first one is, I think you were talking about some that Amar Chitra Katha, that were how that was closed and all that. So can you just elaborate?
I've heard a foreign company has bought that, and the plan is to completely close it. They won't do it overnight, but I think the plan and the move is on to close it, so that it does not, according to them, that poisons the mind of young children. And they say that all these cock and bull stories, these are all Rama and Mahabharata and all that, they are all cock and bull stories about our saints, about our gods, our erstwhile rulers, and so these things should be stopped. So I've heard that that is what the basic agenda is, that gradually that entire publication will be dismantled and closed.
So this process is currently ongoing?
Yes, it is going ongoing.
Okay. So the second thing is, I just want to mention one thing, that you mentioned a bit about that, the lack of the grandparenting or such things like that. Usually, that in our days, our childhood days, we have seen that I have not been able to see my grandparents, both of them. I've just seen 4 or 5 years of my grandfather. Yeah, grandfather. But after that, he was just used to read Ramayana and all that. So
Hmm.
after that, I was not so much influenced from that, but because it was for a very short time period. But after that, I got I just I felt that it was my mother who was actually who's actually influenced my inner core or something like that inner self, that which I think that is lacking in present time, because
Yes.
we as a parents we are so busy, like in corporate world you just said, like corporate worlds and all these job, we are so much busy that we are forgetting the essential things that we have to educate our children in the value education or the moral values, like things that comes from parents na. So
Yes.
this can't be taught in schools and all that.
Because you are right. Uh, there are a lot of things beyond school education, beyond an institutional education, which is done at home by the parents. And even between the parents, the father is always the provider, and the mother is the one who is managing the household, bringing up children, and all that. So it's primarily because of the mother, as in your case you said. Same with me, because it's not that my mother sat with me and sort of drilled a lot of things that worship Lord Ram, worship Lord Krishna, no, nothing of that sort. But she used to sit in front of pictures of Ramakrishna Paramhans, Swami Vivekananda, Ma Sharada, and all that, and maybe a shivling or a picture of Kali and all that. So I have seen this, and so I got accustomed to it. I got familiar to it. The children who are not even seeing this much, imagine what their state of, because they are completely loose, floating, and it's very easily. I mean, if you have seen in jungles, anyone who is straying from the herd, it's very easy for the predator to capture. And these communists are predators. They will say anyone who has a little bit strayed from the herd, they'll attack and take them. I mean, in their sense.